What's up, everybody? It's me, Greg Miller, alongside the Pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Go Islanders.
Go Islanders! Wow, we're already back to that. Is NHL starting again?
No, the Jets will be back first before the
Good Lord. Colin, we do a bunch of shows on that YouTube. One of the comments on one of them was Dodosaurus1 saying JRPG or WRPG. Of course, he means Japanese role-playing game or Western role-playing game. For a long time, JRPGs are what dominated the role-playing scene.
Indeed.
Now we have a whole bunch of Western ones. Choose right now. You just reviewed Tales of Exilia.
Tales of Exilia, yeah.
You reviewed that Ninu Nana.
I mean, what are we talking about?
He's saying pick one. What is the better version of the RPG?
I don't know.
Japanese or Western?
I mean,
the correct answer is Western. Mass Effect, Fallout.
Yeah.
Awesome, way better than Japanese RPG.
But I mean, are we talking about like of all time? Or are we talking about like right now?
Let's talk about right now.
I mean,
overall, sure. I'm going to say, even being the defender of Western RPGs, overall Japanese. I mean, there's so many more of them. They've done so many cool things.
I mean, they're informed by each other. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, they rise and fall in succession with one another. You know, obviously, Western RPGs were first. We often think about JRPGs as being like what popularized RPGs, and really they did with things like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest.
Sure.
But, you know, the original RPGs before there were video games were played on,
Pen and paper.
Yeah, pencil and paper, and they're inspired by chess and war games and things like that. The 70s D&D inspired games on PC like Ultima, and even before that, games on mainframe computers where people would play D&D.
Of course.
And then those inspired Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, which really popularized the genre, and that obviously dominated for about 15 years. Then Western RPGs came back. So I think JRPGs have a much better history.
I think exactly. They're more important, right, as far as what's happening. But I think right now, Western RPGs are the cream of the crop.
Sure.
Carving out a niche in the world.
Sure. I mean, there's great. I mean, like you said, Mass Effect and Fallout are great examples. KOTOR, obviously, back on the Xbox was a great Western RPG. I think JRPGs are coming back. I think Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch on PlayStation 3 is a great example of a fine JRPG, a really, really fantastic JRPG. Tales of Exilia was really good. Tales is a great series, of course. I think that, and I've been guilty of this myself, of kind of ridiculing JRPGs because of the dramatic fall in quality of Final Fantasy in particular. But there are JRPG developers, over in Japan that are making great games.
Talk about the Persona team, right?
Yeah,
Persona 4 Golden, one of like even here in the States, a huge deal for Vita owners.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And obviously we talked about the Tales team doesn't really exist anymore, but Namco is making great games or whatever. And there's little developers like NIS and Gust that are, Image Epic and things like that that are making great JRPGs. We just don't know much about them because some of them don't even make their way over here. So if I had to choose one right now with games that are coming out, I would probably choose Western RPGs. But in posterity, Japanese role-playing games were hugely important. I mean, think about how important Final Fantasy VII was to making PlayStation popular. You know, that really was a
storytelling in games.
Yeah, that was a turning point for that system. A lot of people don't remember that. You know, it was 2 years after PS1 came out that Final Fantasy VII really catapulted that system, made RPGs mainstream. But with that mainstream success came heightened expectations as time went on, which I think Western RPGs met better than JRPGs.
Because people making Western RPGs were influenced playing JRPGs, and that's where we are now. So it all ebbs and flows together.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
tapestry of games.
Yeah, D&D inspired, the Ultima, which inspired Final Fantasy, which inspired, BioWare, which inspired, et cetera and so on. So, like, it seems like they cannot both rise together, which is kind of ironic.
That's interesting, right? Yeah. So the people are being inspired right now by Western RPGs. They'll be the next one. Mars RPGs, whoever's playing those.
Sure.
Getting excited.
Sure.
Well, Colin, thank you for your time. Give me a handshake there. You can read Colin's articles on IGN.com all the time, and you can see us talk about PlayStation on Podcast Beyond every Tuesday. Until then, for everything about every game, whether it be an RPG, an action, a fight, or whatever the hell they make next, keep it here on IGN.